Ever wonder what secrets the world's most ancient gardens hold? Imagine stepping into a serene landscape crafted centuries ago, where every rustle of leaves whispers tales of emperors, poets, and forgotten civilizations. This isn't just about beautiful scenery, it's an auditory journey into the tranquil heart of history, designed to lull you into a deep, restorative sleep. Let the soothing sounds of these timeless havens wash over you, easing away the day's tensions and guiding you gently towards slumber. As you settle into your comfortable space, close your eyes and allow the faint echoes of history to envelop you. Picture yourself wandering through the mist-shrouded paths of a Japanese Zen garden, where meticulously raked gravel mimics the rippling waves of an ancient sea. The soft crunch of stones underfoot blends seamlessly with the distant trickle of a koi pond, creating a symphony of simplicity that has calmed minds for over 1,000 years. These gardens, born from the philosophies of Buddhist monks in the 14th century, were designed not just for beauty, but for meditation and inner peace. Places where the chaos of the world fades into nothingness, leaving only the gentle breath of the wind through bamboo leaves to guide your thoughts toward tranquility. Now, drift further back in time to the sun-drenched peristyle gardens of ancient Rome, hidden within the villas of emperors like Hadrian. Envision lush courtyards encircled by marble columns, where fountains murmur endlessly, their waters splashing softly against stone basins carved by artisans long forgotten. The Romans believed these spaces were extensions of the soul, havens where the gods themselves might whisper through the rustle of olive branches. Listen closely to the imagined coo of doves nesting in the eaves, their calls mingling with the subtle hum of bees dancing among blooming roses. A natural lullaby that once soothed the weary minds of philosophers and rulers alike, inviting dreams as peaceful as a starlit night. Shift your mind's eye to the paradise gardens of ancient Persia, sprawling oases that inspired the very word paradise, meaning an enclosed park of delight. Here, in the heart of arid deserts, visionary kings like Cyrus the Great created verdant retreats with symmetrical layouts of cypress trees and reflecting pools, where the constant rhythmic flow of irrigation channels, known as qanats, produced a hypnotic babble that echoed through shaded pavilions. The faint chime of wind-stirred ornaments hangs in the air, carrying scents of jasmine and myrrh on a warm breeze, a sensory embrace that has lulled generations into restful repose since the 6th century BCE. These gardens were symbols of harmony between humanity and nature, places where worries dissolve like morning dew, allowing your breath to slow and your body to surrender to the pull of sleep. In this chapter of Ancient Whispers, we've explored how these historical gardens were crafted as sanctuaries of sound and serenity, each element purposefully placed to foster deep relaxation. As the distant sounds fade into a comforting hush, feel your eyelids growing heavier, your muscles unwinding like vines in the evening light. When the sun slips away, the true soul of an ancient garden awakens. Day belongs to color and grandeur, but night belongs to sound and scent. These gardens were never meant to sleep when their human visitors did. Instead, they became living nocturnes, breathing softer and deeper so that anyone lying sleepless nearby could borrow their rhythm. In the Majorelle Garden of Marrakesh, though made famous only a century ago, it honors a tradition stretching back to the earliest Moorish riad. The fountains are deliberately tuned lower after dusk. The caretakers close certain jets and open others so the water falls from a greater height,
changing from bright daytime chatter to a slow velvet murmur that feels like a mother's hush. Tonight, that same hush finds you. Shh, shh, long, unhurried, endless. Let it stroke across your forehead the way cool fingers once soothed fevered children in jasmine-scented courtyards. Further east, in Kyoto's temple gardens, the priests have always left one small stone water basin to sukubai, filled to the brim at night. Every few minutes the bamboo spout knocks against a rock. Tok, tok. Then tips, pouring a gentle cupful that rings like a soft bell when it meets the pool below. This is the famous sui kinkutsu, the water harp hidden beneath the ground. Only those who kneel in silence ever hear it. Tonight you do not need to kneel. Lie perfectly still and let that underground harp play for you alone. Tok, ting, tok, ting. Each note arriving just late enough to make you wait, and in that tiny waiting, your thoughts loosen and drift.
On the other side of the world, in the lost, moonlit gardens of Yucatan palaces, Mayan nobles planted night-blooming cacti and nicotiana around their sleeping platforms. As temperature dropped, the flowers exhaled cool, sweet breath that carried for dozens of yards. The air itself became a lullaby you could inhale. Breathe in now, slowly, through the nose, and imagine that same cool sweetness filling your chest, heavier than ordinary air, settling behind your eyes like liquid starlight. Hold, then release, and feel the day's heat leave with the exhale. Even in the stiff parterres of 17th century Europe, gardeners secretly planted night borders of white flowers, Madonna lilies, tuberose, nicotiana again, that only opened after sunset. From the palace windows, they looked like patches of moon fallen to earth, but from the gravel paths came an almost imperceptible hum. Thousands of hawk moths drinking nectar, their wings beating so fast they produced a continuous, barely audible om. Courtiers swore that walking those paths for 10 minutes cured any restlessness. Tonight, let that velvet moth hum vibrate gently behind your ears. Mmm. Mmm. Everything unnecessary is leaving you now. Every sound you hear is older than empires, older than names. It has lulled 1,000 generations before you and will lull 1,000 after. There is nothing to do, nothing to fix, nothing to become. Only this moment, wrapped in moonlight and distant water, rocking you the way the earth itself rocks on its ancient axis. Your breathing is barely there now, soft, slower, softer. The line between listening and dreaming thins to a thread.
The hour has grown so late that time itself seems to forget its duties. Somewhere in the world right now, the final gardener is walking the paths with a lantern no brighter than a firefly. He is not checking locks. He is listening. When he hears that every leaf has stopped gossiping, every fountain has lowered its voice to a murmur only the stones can hear, he blows out the lantern and leaves the garden to its private dreaming. That same permission is being granted to you now. Permission to stop checking, stop listening for danger, stop holding yourself together. The garden will hold you instead. Begin with the great night ponds of Kashmir. In the Shalimar Bagh built by Emperor Jahangir for his wife Nur Jahan,
The water level was deliberately lowered after midnight, so the central chatter, a sloping marble waterfall carved with tiny ripples, would slow to an almost imperceptible flow. If you stood at the edge in perfect silence, you could hear individual droplets detach from the marble lip, hang in the air for a full heartbeat, then land with the softest kiss imaginable. Plip, plip, plip. Each droplet takes longer to fall than the one before, as though gravity itself is growing drowsy. Let those droplets fall inside your own body now. One behind your eyes, one in the center of your chest, one in the soles of your feet. Each one heavier, cooler, slower than the last. Move southward to the lost water gardens of Sigiriya in Sri Lanka. At the very top of the rock fortress, 5th-century engineers built shallow reflecting pools no deeper than a finger's length. When the moon is directly overhead, the water becomes a perfect mirror of the sky, and the smallest night breeze is enough to set the entire cosmos trembling in miniature. On those nights, the king's physicians would carry insomniac courtiers up the 1,000 steps and lay them on the warm stone beside the pools. The only instruction was to watch the stars shake. Tonight, you do not need to climb a single step. Look upward inside your closed eyelids and notice how the darkness there has begun to ripple, very gently, like water touched by a breath you did not know you released. Let the ripples widen. Let them carry away every remaining sharp corner of the day.
Now descend into the sunken gardens of the Villa Lante in Italy, where twin symmetrical fountains feed each other through a chain of ever smaller basins. By 2 in the morning, the caretakers close the highest sluice, and the entire system begins its nightly diminuendo. The top basin sighs and falls silent first, then the second, then the third. Each level says goodnight to the one below it, passing the message downward like children whispering along a dormitory row. Listen for that chain of goodnights inside your own spine tonight. The crown of your head releases, the base of your skull releases, the place between your shoulder blades releases, each vertebra softer and heavier than the one above. By the time the message reaches the base of your spine, the lowest basin in the Villa Lante has also stopped. Everything that needed to flow has flowed. Everything that needed to speak has spoken. In Japan, at the garden of Shisendo, the monks have a ritual called listening to the end of sound. They sit in absolute stillness until even the memory of the last cricket has faded. Then, when the silence feels almost unbearable, they hear it, the almost inaudible creak of the old wooden buildings settling into the earth, a sound that happens only once or twice a night. It is the house itself, exhaling after holding its breath all day. Tonight, your own body is that old wooden house. Feel the almost imperceptible settling that begins behind your sternum, a slow internal creak of letting go. It may take a full minute to complete. That is perfectly fine. There is no hurry left in the world. Finally, return to the very first garden, Eden, if you like, or simply the idea of a garden before anyone needed to name it. In that place there was a single river that split into 4 branches to water the whole earth. Ancient storytellers say that late at night, those 4 rivers slowed until they moved backward, drawing every tired thing gently toward the center. You are at that center now. Every breath you release is being gathered by those reversing rivers and carried home. There is nothing to do except allow the current to take you. Your blood has become dark, slow-moving water. Your bones have become the cool marble of forgotten fountains. Your thoughts have thinned to the last drifting lotus petal, spinning once, twice, then resting. Somewhere very far away, a nightingale tries one final phrase, decides it is too much effort, and lets the note fall unfinished. Even the moon, exhausted by its own brightness, has slipped behind a cloud to rest its silver face. There is no longer any difference between the gardens and the darkness behind your eyelids. There is no longer any difference between listening and being listened to by silence itself. The ancient gates, cedar, bronze, iron, bamboo, have all closed without a sound. The keys have been turned by hands that no longer exist. They will not turn again until you have received exactly the sleep you need, down to the last second. You are deeper than roots. You are quieter than stone that has forgotten it was once mountain. You are perfectly, perfectly held. Good night, good night, good night.